you guys are talking about programming, right? We're programmed. Like we go to boot, and I'm sure you went through the academy. It's the same thing. They break you down for a reason to rebuild you. And there's a lot of people that can't hack it. That's why they get booted out. But they program you. We go to war. We train. We prepare for what? For war, for combat. It's all mental. The problem is when we get out, that programming doesn't leave.
This smoke's gnarly right now. Yeah, it brings me back.
It's early in the summer for it. It's not that we never. I mean, we get it. You know, it's fairly common, but we've been lucky. Like last summer, I don't think we had a single smoke day.
No, it wasn't bad at all. It's typically like mid-August, late August, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a dry year, though.
My boy Sam hit me up yesterday. He texted me, and he's like, man, is it just me, but I feel like I should be working a road closure somewhere? Because anytime in California, being a chippy, like you get this weather and this fire's kicking off, and like you're out manning road closures, and you're just living in this.
What is that? Cozy? Mazy?
So that's look at you, dude. So Cozeep is construction zone. Mazeep is like maintenance zone. So that's all Caltrans shit. All right. Yeah, road closures would be. That was
try
good.
to get
that
some.
Was
try
good.
to get some bonus.
Not a lot of people know about that. Made a lot of money doing that. Yeah, but like I don't know, it hit me. I walked out to my truck yesterday. I swear I saw little flakes of ash, and it kind of brought me back a little bit.
Yeah, dude, you were in some gnarly
but like so many times, not just the one where my house burned down, but so many other times where, you know, we're deploying to fires all over Northern California, and you're just living in that shit and breathing in the ash constantly. It's a weird thing. It's very apocalyptic, I think.
Yeah.
And I had a moment of, like, oddly enough, a moment of nostalgia yesterday of like, I kind of missed that. And Sam put it pretty well. He was saying, you know, it's like we're missing our community calling us up to help. It's not necessarily, nobody likes working fire closures.
Right.
It's horrible, but you kind of miss that call of like, well, Steve, you said this morning that you stopped to help a guy on the way here, right? Like that service mindset is always with you, and I think I missed that.
It's who you are.
Yeah.
Nobody stopped though. It's kind of weird. Like a lot of people just going around. They just dropped a pallet of sod, and I'm like, here we go. A workout.
There it
look
is.
like Seth.
Yeah.
You know? And
What are you talking about? You got bigger arms than me, dude.
But yeah, and then it was just you got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who you are.
That's what makes this community a little bit different. Man, and that experience, I've only had the one. We had the Bayview fire when I was a brand new deputy with Kootenai County, and I was Marine Patrol, and I watched that one go up the hill. It was actually a boat crash. They'd crashed the night before, and then they decided to start a little campfire at the base of it in the driest part of the year, and it just went up the hill, and it was taking houses. I mean, I watched firsthand. One, it was crazy to me. The bull pines explode. They have so much sap in them that they get really hot really fast. It looked like somebody launching a trebuchet with chunks of wood going out. It was nuts. I mean, it is apocalyptic.
Yeah.
But watching those fire planes go and strafe and trying to save houses. Anyways, I ended up on a road closure, and this guy comes into town, and he's on a four-wheeler, and you know that he's been out fighting to save his house. And it was all shut down, but he comes in just to get water, and it's been like 2 days. And the dude comes up to my post, and he's covered in soot and ash, and you know that look when somebody hasn't slept in 2 days, and they're in it. You know, it's just that mentality where you're in that, you know, war.
They're spent.
Yeah, but he's going back. I mean, he's going back up to go fight. I said, hey, man, I can't let you through. And the look on his face is like, you're not stopping me. Like, there's no stopping me. I said, hey, I can neither confirm nor deny whether every road is closed. There may or may not be one that's 2 blocks north of here. And he just turns around and goes back. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Mm-hmm. How are you going to stop him? It's such a weird thing.
I had many, many difficult moments doing that because people are, you know, my dogs are in there, my horses, grandma, whatever. And it's like, you know, you have this job and there's laws. It's technically, you could arrest them if they go past this road closure. But you have this moral conundrum where I'm like, I get it. If I was in your shoes, you ain't stopping me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to save my stupid little dogs because I love them, even though they're retarded. Here, let me read Sam's. He wrote this really well. He said, maybe we never missed the fires. Maybe we just miss having a place to stand when the world needed us. And I was like, oh, that's a good way to put it. A place to stand when the world needed you.
Well, I think it summarizes the mentality of, vets or former law enforcement or former first responders, and how I think it's completely normal and natural to have that weird, you have peaks and then you have troughs. It's normal to have that trough when you get out. Because even though you hated parts of it, one, you stop remembering the things you hated and you only reflect on some of the more positive stuff, right? But then you get out and you miss that belonging. You start to assign some of your own value or some of your own image into that job.
Hey guys, before we get too deep, make sure you hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss any of our latest North Idaho experience content. And if you're thinking about buying, selling, relocating, or just exploring North Idaho, reach out to our team. We're proud to be one of the top-rated real estate teams in North Idaho with the 5-star reviews to back it up. We don't just sell homes, we help people experience North Idaho. Our contact info is in the show notes. Now let's get back to the episode. And then, honestly, it becomes a little bit of nostalgia about the things you even hated at the time. Like a stupid ass fire road closure. You know what I mean? I'm sure, Steve, you had many moments in the Air Force where you hated it at the time, but you might look back now and you're like, I would do that right now.
Yeah. It's funny, Eric, you brought up a good point. It's like you look back, it's the military service, I'm sure law enforcement's the same, but they say it's the funniest place on planet Earth that you can't laugh.
Yeah.
Good way to put it. Good way to put it.
Like, look, it's especially boot.
Yeah.
Like you can't laugh, but it's like the craziest things happen. And you're like, oh my God, did that just happen? And they say it's the place that you dread, but when you get out, you miss the most.
Right.
I mean, did I say that? You relate with that?
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because it's the military's a wild ride. It's like some of the lowest of lows and then some of the highest of highs. And I think in and of itself, it's kind of addictive that way.
That's it. And I say, like, the best and the worst times of your life will be wrapped into that. But public safety, military, I think it's probably the same thing.
And I never hate to get philosophical about it, but truly, do you really know the best times if you haven't had the worst times? If you just go through life and you're just straddling this middle of the road, kind of the hardest decision you have in the day is what you're going to make for lunch. Do you really understand? Can you have good days if you've never had bad ones?
It's called being relatable.
Yeah.
You can't relate. You can't compare the two.
And
if you don't know the two, experience the two. Like that guy's hardship.
Right.
He now understands that intimacy of that time of his life when he said, "You're not going to stop me.
Yeah.
I'm getting to my house. I'm getting to my horses. I'm getting to my dogs, and you ain't stopping me."
Right.
And now he's going to be able to relate when someone else goes through that thing. And I think that's what's cool about this podcast and what we're going to talk about today is, veteran to veteran. There's an intimacy there, and I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah.
But veteran to veteran, it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
It's a whole different law enforcement. My dad was law enforcement for a lot of years, and that conversation's different. And I think a lot of people don't have that. So being relatable and experiencing both sides of that is,
it's hard to
Yeah.
have these conversations with people that have not been there and experienced it because some of it is so dark. Some of the humor is so dark that I'm telling stories at Thanksgiving and I look over and my aunt's crying and I'm like, maybe I went too far, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This is the normal day as a cop. That's not even bad shit, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of normal people can't handle it. So you got to find those who've been there to have those conversations.
And I don't know if we've yet to figure out how do you teach perspective. It has to come through experience.
It has to.
Where you have to have seen it. And that's where some of those conversations when you're talking about what's going on in a community or, God forbid politics, but you're looking at other states, it's like, how do I teach this without seeing it? Because all of my perspective is based on, life experiences and trials and tribulations and the highs and lows and the valleys and troughs and all of that stuff. But how do you teach that? So when people are talking about something and they clearly have absolutely no perspective, it's really hard for me to value their opinion. They're entitled to it, but it's just hard for me to value it because you haven't seen it. And if you'd had the same experiences, because I've watched that light flip on. People go to the academy, they're like, we're in this to help people. I'm going to be a better cop than the ones that blah, 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 blah. Then you go out and you see the world and you're like, oh, that's not quite what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And their perspective shifts.
Yeah.
Just like taking a kid and throwing them into boot camp.
Yeah.
Perspective's going to shift.
So, Steve, Air Force, how many years?
Just under 12.
Okay.
I was going to do the whole 11 years, 8 months, 12 days, and that kind of thing, but just under 12 years, yeah.
All right. What was your primary role?
I joined, like most kids, I believe, at least back in my day, wanted to be a cop or a fireman. I mean, that was the thing, back then.
Where'd you grow up?
I don't have a home.
Yeah.
I really don't. My dad was in the Army 21 years.
Yeah.
I literally lived everywhere. Everywhere. Europe, Germany, I mean, just name it. We've been just about everywhere. I really don't have a home. I was born in Fort Dix, New Jersey, on an Army base. Piece of wonderful crap.
Jersey.
Oh, yeah. It was very interesting base, but I was born there. So I really don't have a home. And that sounds funny, but I was born there, but I literally travel all over the world. So, yeah.
Interesting perspective.
Wild.
Yeah. I joined the Air Force because my dad wouldn't let me join the Army. Kind of a funny story. I don't know if you want to hear it. It's real comical. I'll give you the fast version. I remember, and I knew I was going to join the military my whole life. I'm fifth generation. I mean, there was no doubt. Little kid, just surrounded by it. I knew that I was going to do it. And I remember waking up on a Monday morning, and my dad was actually in. He worked for CDC, California Department of Corrections.
Yeah. Okay.
And I woke up, and he was up, and I said, "Hey, I'm joining today." And he's like, "What? Like, holy shit! Like today? Like, yep, I'm done. I'm out. I'm getting ready to go." And he goes, "Well, hold on." And he calls into work, and he never called into work, and I didn't know really what that was for. He said, "I'm going to go with you." So I remember going in the Army, and this dude jumps up, and he was, had the blue cord, 11 Bravo.
Yeah,
see,
dude.
watch.
Oh yeah.
This is good.
They
And
glorify it.
he was just like, "What do you want to do, son?" I said, "Airborne Ranger." And he's and if you know anything about military, that's like easy slot to fill. 11 Bravo. Like, oh, he was just licking his chops, like, "Oh, got one easy, right?" My dad's like, "Well, calm down. We'll just get some brochures and we'll talk to you a little bit." I'm like, "Dude, I'm good. Like, I want to follow your footsteps." He's easy. You're not gonna like this next story. So I walked in the Navy. They had I just started asking questions, and they were on a ship for like 9 months with no girls, and I'm like, that just didn't work for me.
Oh yeah.
I'm just being, and they had the bell bottom thing.
Don't
I'm
feel
good.
bad, bro.
I love you, bro,
Yeah,
but I
don't
just
feel
like
bad.
I walked in. I'm like,
Somehow it worked for Eric.
No.
Yeah.
So then I walked in the Marine Corps, and it was cool.
Yeah.
The guys had the little pull-up bar, and all of the whole office was just workout equipment, and I'm not afraid of that, but that's all they were doing. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, no. So I walked in the Air Force office, and his name was Tech Sergeant Richard Minert, and I remember he was kind of offended me. He just sat there and looked up, and then looked back down. I'm like, what the hell is this guy problem? Everybody else wanted to recruit me right away, and I said, "Hey, excuse me, sir, and what do you have to offer me?" He said, "What do you have to offer the Air Force?" And I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash. I know I'm surprised you're as quiet as you are, but it was just different. And it kind of offended me. Like, it gave me a challenge.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, what do you mean? He said, we don't just take anybody.
Right.
And so
See, he had a better sales pitch. He hit you with a good sales pitch there. That was a slick tactic.
it was.
Yeah.
And it threw me, because I'm like, I wanted to do the Army. I wanted to do 11 Bravo. That was my job. And he said, well, there's some brochures. And he went back down. And I was like pissed. I was like, what the hell is this guy's problem, man? Like, Air Force, big deal. Like, I heard all the jokes. I heard all the Chair Force kind of things, And got talking to him. So I took the test, the pre-test, the pre-ASVAB.
Yep.
Scored pretty good. And then it changed. He was like, okay, this guy's pretty smart. So then I took the ASVAB, scored really high. And then he started sharing some jobs with me that I didn't know existed in the Air Force. There's a lot of jokes, and anybody who's watched this probably laughing.
Yeah.
There was a Chair Force, whatever. By the way, every branch has logistics, finance, all that,
course.
services,
Yep.
so whatever. But he said, "Have you ever heard of like air cargo or Loadmaster?" And I started laughing. I'm thinking, like, what the heck is like UPS?
That doesn't sound cool.
Yeah.
It didn't. And I said, like UPS for the Air Force? Like, I didn't get it. And he goes, yeah, you don't understand. It's kind of like a hidden gem. And I said, so all I heard was air crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, so because I'm not going to be a pilot, and that's not who I am. I don't want to be a pilot. And he said, just look into this. And that's what he did. And I was kind of intrigued. He said, you're going to travel the world. You can pretty much do anything. You support everyone. You're like, your hands are in every single pot. And that's what made me choose Loadmaster in the United States Air Force. And my journey began that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's boot camp for Air Force?
Everybody goes to Lackland. Lackland
San
Air Force,
Antonio,
San Antonio.
Texas.
Huh.
Yeah.
Most bipolar weather that you'll ever experience in your entire life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I spent some time there.
it's so gnarly, huh?
Yeah.
It could be hot as balls the one day, and the next day you're in a parka. Like, no joke. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Was boot camp a challenge for you?
Again, everybody's Navy and Air Force. We don't struggle. I'm not gonna say it was a joke.
Yeah.
I don't know, when did you go in?
01.
Okay, back in the 90s, I'm the old guy here today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back in 1990, they had the old mentality where, the cussing and they
You
broke,
still wore boots?
yes, and
It was,
shined them.
It was boot camp?
Yes,
No,
we shined them.
Yeah.
The rim smashing of the hat. Sergeant Keeney was a highly decorated combat controller. I don't know if you guys know what those are. But,
Yeah.
it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
It was tough, but I didn't. I was excited. I knew what I was going into. I excelled. I was a platoon leader, or they call it squad leader or element leader in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was fun. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
Chapman was just awarded the Medal of Honor. He was a combat
Did see
controller
that.
with the team. That was incredible. That
Yeah.
was like one of the first ones that was captured on like FLIR. They were able to watch us fight on FLIR.
Now they're different from pararescue, right?
Correct.
Okay.
They are, and I had the honor and privilege of working with a lot of them. The PJs
Both?
and CCTs. Oh yeah, JTACs. Oh yeah, that was.
That's like those are like the SF guys of the Air Forces. Am I correct in that?
You
Okay.
are 100% correct. Yeah,
that's
they're
cool.
tough. I'm not gonna lie, they're tough. So yeah.
So where'd you get stationed out of boot camp?
So my job was back then it was Military Airlift Command, and then my first year they changed it to Air Mobility Command. So there's two major hubs. There's three. There's Dover, Delaware,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was stationed at McGuire Air Force Base, it's like an Eastern Readiness Command. So when things kicked off, we're the first to go. Like
Right.
we just load our aircraft and we go. I ended up in Travis Air Force Base Air Combat Command later in my career, which is the California side of mobility and readiness. So
What city is that in?
it is Vacaville,
Vacaville. Okay. Yeah.
just below Sacramento, about 45 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm familiar. Okay. So how long did you do that particular task? Because you got into other things, right?
Yeah, so that title or that job, Air Force, what do they call it in the Navy? What is your like Army, Marines, MOS, Air Force Specialty Code?
Oh, like an NEC.
Okay,
That's what you
NEC,
called like your
Your
occupational
job.
code.
Yeah. So Air Force Specialty Code. I stayed a Loadmaster, but you can morph into different slots and different positions. So over time, you got to
Okay.
earn it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Because you got onto C-130 gunships, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me about that. How did you seek that out, or did they come for you? Is that a coveted position?
It is, and it's earned over time. I started out on a C-141, which is just a giant flying turd. It was just a cargo plane.
Yeah.
And I remember the day they said, hey, we got a special mission. We need to get some top security stuff taken care of. Who wants to go? And I don't know if I was dumb or bold or maybe a little bit of both, but I have the tendency to raise my hand.
Yeah.
And we did. It was nothing to brag about. It was just a top security surveillance satellite, but it was a 48-hour, no sleep.
Yeah.
This break it down. Blah 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 blah. And as we all know, even in law enforcement, it's who you know or who you get to know, especially in the military. And there was some brass on my bird, and so I guess it was just the way I conducted myself. And I remember this lieutenant colonel just looking at me and going, "Hey, do you love like cargo?" And I go, I didn't know what I was like.
Yeah,
"Sir,
what do you
like,
say?"
What?
Yeah.
And he's
I
just
live
like,
for this, sir.
Yeah, well, I love boxes and pellets. And,
Yeah.
and I go, can I speak freely? And he goes, I freaking hate it. It's just not enough for me. And so that's how it began. And so I moved to a C5 Galaxy, which is, again, nothing glorified. But
They're freaking huge, though, huh?
they are. and they're awesome. And so you have to work your way up. So I was able to work my way up and finally get onto a C-130, which is, in my opinion, I mean, obviously it's everything, man. That bird can do anything, anywhere, anytime.
They still have, I mean, they have a bunch of different models of it, right? For different tasks.
Correct.
What kind of things do they do with it? Mostly, I mean, some are just transport.
Name it. I mean, we have weather observation. They have AWACS. I mean, there's so many different models and types that can do just different missions. But I think you're wanting to get into the AC-130.
I mean, I'm just curious, you know.
Yeah, how'd your mission set change when you moved into that position?
I don't know. You see more. You're around a different class of people. I sit here today. I'm not something special, but I got the privilege to work with some amazing heroes and some amazing people of all different communities. And I think that was the coolest part of my job is mission support. And so when you move from Air Mobility Command, which is where I was going with that, you go into Air Combat Command. It's a whole different community. It's a different level of respect, and the community is, I mean, they're the toughest men and women I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And just the opportunity to serve them was a joy until I got injured. So yeah, it was cool. We did everything, dude.
Tell me what's the main mission set of a C-130 gunship? Is that what they call it? Is that the right term?
Okay. Spectre gunship. Okay. It's all combat support. So you got boys on the ground, whether it's whatever branch that's running a mission on the ground, and we did just whatever we needed to do to make sure they got home. Whether it's resupplying them, supporting the PJs getting injured out of there. I mean, I don't know if you guys what you know about that, but if somebody gets injured, there's an hour. They got 1 hour. It's called the golden hour.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And so that intensity is where I got my shift in my life. I mean, you live that intensity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like I don't think we ever stopped. There was months where we never stopped because there's a limited amount of those birds, and so there's always something going on. And so we would land, and then we would, you got to go again.
Yeah.
And so we would just go, and that's where that rip it joke came in. We were just living on rip it's, chewing tobacco, cigarettes. I hate cigarettes, but I smoked back then because I needed whatever I could get.
What theaters were you guys operating those in?
What's that?
Where were you operating that in?
Desert Storm, and then I was in Somalia. I did a couple other that are still classified, and then I was in Iraq when it first kicked off.
Okay.
What was Somalia like? What was the primary? I mean, what'd you guys do there?
There's a movie out there, Black Hawk Down.
Oh yeah.
And so
that's where I was getting with it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Sleeve there, huh? that was a crazy 34 days. I think that is probably the most not talked about clusterfuck that the military has ever done. It was 34 days of disaster. Everything that could have went wrong. So we started over there. Don't even know why we were there. We as the Loadmasters, we brought over some what was it? The NATO. We brought over like food and supplies because that's what a Loadmaster does. We do everything, anything humanitarian, combat. We brought over a bunch of food, and what was his name? Adid.
Yeah.
I think it was. He would shoot their own people and take the resources. So of course the U.S. military said, "Hey, we're gonna get our hands in this thing and stop that," and it folded quick. We got involved. We hauled everybody over there with a bunch of Rangers, and we got them all over there, and we were just hanging out. And then obviously there was another a shipment of supplies that came in, and they overtook it. So then we kind of got. We're looking for a fight. I mean, that's what the U.S. is.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's who we are. So we're all wired. Oh, yeah, we're going to do this. And we launched our bird. And for the first time in my young career back then, I couldn't do anything. Everything went wrong. We put our boys in a situation that we really didn't research. This is my opinion. I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing this. But that was just my opinion. So I'm up in the air. You're looking at, I couldn't do my job. We couldn't protect our guys on the ground. Everything was in these towns, and there's houses that are just stacked on each other. And I got a one-star telling me stand down, and I'm hearing all of this chatter on the ground of our guys getting hammered. I mean, it was just look at that.
It had to be crazy to see it, like just getting overrun.
You got goosebumps.
An entire city turned against them.
Couldn't do anything.
That's
like,
the
hey,
worst.
stand down or else. And it's like, I'm loaded. I'm hearing them yelling. I got Marines yelling at me like, hey, we need anything. Just give it. Nothing.
And you're ready to level that fucking city, right?
You have no idea.
Because those are your guys.
Those are our guys.
Well,
and they're screaming at us like give us some close air support. We don't care what it is. Anything, a gun.
Now I got goosebumps.
And now and they're looking down like you were saying. I'm looking down because all we do is hover.
Yeah.
The left side of the aircraft just
Right.
hovers, and these houses are stacked on each other. And if we did anything, we would have just massacred people. And I just couldn't do anything. So getting yelled at to stand down it was probably it was hard.
Wasn't that one of the first times that, or maybe the first time, that our troops were handed over to NATO command? Like, basically, that was a NATO mission, and it was under NATO control, or it was something funky. I mean, anytime you look back at some of our worst disasters in military history, it's when rules of engagement weren't clear on the front end. The guys that are over there, you at least have to have, like, you have to know what the rules are. Okay, tell us what the theater is, tell us what the rules of engagement are, and then we can adopt accordingly, or we can plan accordingly. But if you're trying to set rules of engagement in the middle of a fight, it never works out. That's all got to be set on the front end. That's a tough one, man.
Interesting perspective, right? We've all seen Black Hawk Down. That movie gives me chills, by the way, just like what you told me did. But I've never heard the perspective of a guy in the air.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the incident was 34 days or whatever.
It wasn't long. It wasn't long. It was a disaster, absolute disaster. And what's crazy is there's a guy named Tom that lives in Spokane, and we were building our side note real quick. He works for Northwest Windows. That's not a pitch for Northwest Windows. If you're listening here.
Yeah.
But he walks out and he has a Marine hat on, and you know me. I'm gonna walk. Hey, bro, thank you for service. I do that. I do that to everybody, even though some of us hate to hear that. But we just started talking like we do. Mm-hmm. And so, oh yeah, where were you? Just kind of like you asked, what conflicts? And we started talking, and he was one of the guys on the ground.
No shit,
bro.
Full circle.
Bro, I could show you on my phone. Like, we talk because he was angry at me.
Yeah.
For years.
Well, yeah.
And this all developed. And
without knowing you.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were there, and the Air Force you can insert word before that, but they didn't do their job. And I'm like, oh man, like, where were you at? And I was in Hangar 17. He goes, well, we were next to Hangar 17, and we were talking, and blah blah blah. And he's like, so what did you do? And I told him. He's like, wait. And the look on his face was like, wait, what was your call sign? I said Reaper 6. And if you could have been in that room last year, he just looked at me like, what? And it was just an interesting conversation. His boss came out like, hey, what's going on out here? And I had to explain to him, like, I was told to stand down. I had nothing. Geneva Convention, everything was thrown at me like, hey.
There's no release authority.
If you'd
be in prison right now if you.
And that's what the one-star told me.
Yeah.
I will hang you. Yeah. Could do it.
Crazy. That's such a weird position to be in the middle, where it's you've got you know what you need to do, what you should. And there's a lot of stories out there about that, where finally either if you did that, it would have changed everything for the worse, and it, right? Like if you just released it and did it yourself, they just replace you with somebody else that would do it, that would do exactly what they're told.
And it may not have changed the course of what was happening on the ground anyway.
Right. It's tough. That's a tough deal.
You don't know.
That's wild to meet him, but you guys are good buddies now.
Oh, we're great friends.
Yeah, it's like
once I settled it.
Yeah.
But it's funny, this guy harbored hatred for the United States Air Force for
a long time.
30-something years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And the clarity was like, oh my God, I didn't, just like Eric said, I didn't know that.
Right.
Well, how would you? I got a different command. I got a different set of brass telling me what to do when you guys got grounded. Guys telling you what to do on the ground. And it was piss poor planning.
The warrior culture is a fascinating one. It reminds me of that, on a grander scale, the World War II Navy guy that was in Pearl Harbor, that for 65, 70 years, his family said he harbored so much resentment towards the Japanese because it was the worst day of his life. He had buddies get killed and everything else. The guy that he saw on a plane, they ended up linking up at Pearl Harbor. And they stayed friends. He was 90-something years old. They stayed friends until one of them passed away for like 10, stayed close friends.
It's
because the guy said, I was doing my job. We thought this, And the Japanese guy was pissed off because they lied to them about what we were doing in order to get them fired up for that mission. And literally was part of the bombing that killed it. It was nuts. But the warrior culture, when you start to look at it, pull yourself out of that, very nation-centric part, every society is going to have their warrior culture, right? And they're going to go do their bidding. It's kind of nuts. And then you get around each other.
Well, some of the best friends I've made, I've fought with physically at the beginning,
right?
And then, and then I don't know what that bonding, I don't know how that works, but it's a real thing. North Idaho Arms is a proud sponsor of this podcast. North Idaho Arms is a locally owned full-service gun store in Post Falls, Idaho, founded under one guiding principle. They are unapologetically pro 2A. The owner, BZ, is a friend of ours and is a 2A rights absolutist. North Idaho Arms throws a flaming middle finger to all unconstitutional gun laws. Handguns, rifles, suppressors, magazines, ammo, complicated moves, estate transaction. BZ does it all. And yes, you can purchase some of these items if you're a Washington resident. Go see BZ at North Idaho Arms, Post Falls, Idaho.
Yeah.
Tell me about whatever you can tell us about the capabilities of that aircraft and the tools you guys have on there to do that mission. It's know what you can and can't say, I'm sure. So
it's a heavily armed aircraft. I mean, it's pretty accurate. I'll tell you that.
What's what weapons are on it? You can probably say that, right?
Yep. Some are retrofitted with a 30 or a 40 millimeter. Then you got a 105.
40 millimeter. Okay, so this is a 40 millimeter, right? So that size, but a lot longer, I'm sure, and probably a lot more devastating.
And you got a 105 on there.
That's freaking huge.
And you got an onboard howitzer gun on there that will destroy.
That 105. I mean, is that the same size on a tank, or is a tank load? Holy shit!
On an aircraft.
So any heavy vehicle you can punch through.
Including tanks.
So you guys are up there and you're only making left turns like NASCAR drivers, right?
That's it.
And you're just circling the whole time, and that mean ass gun is just sitting up there ready to. I bet that shakes the airframe.
It does.
Like
we shift.
crazy.
Yeah, we call it shift. Get ready for the shift.
It just like pops it over a little bit.
Yeah.
That's so cool. What was your favorite weapons platform on that?
Probably the 105, just because we call it the silencer.
Yeah.
It will silence the enemy.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Whether they're on it, because they're cowards. You know, they like to find holes and they hide in the hills, and they'll come out and they'll just poke, and then they'll jump back in.
Yeah.
They'll poke, and then the Jays call us to say, we got them. And then they'll put the little laser out on the hill, and then we just put it right there, and we silence them.
Yeah. So, I mean, that weapon system has to have the ability to compensate for the airspeed and the angle, and it's still accurate.
Every person in that aircraft has a role, and everybody knows their role very, very well. You have to earn that spot on that aircraft, and that everything has to be precise.
And are you guys circling up high enough where your small arms fire is not going to be an issue, but obviously surface to air stuff could be?
Every situation's different.
Okay.
Sometimes we got to come in if it's in a valley. I mean, every situation's different.
When you're up there, what's the biggest threat to you guys? I mean, RPG. Mm-hmm. You guys are close enough to be impacted by like a handheld RPG or.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to. It's close air support. I'll
let
you guys figure that out. Close air support. Sometimes you got to come in close.
Right.
And it can get gnarly. We have taken rounds in the aircraft. Pick a size. I mean, that's what ended my career in an RPG. Wiped out completely the whole hydraulic system on the left side of the aircraft. Everything shifted, pinned me against the aircraft.
Where were you when this happened? Give me this story.
We came in. We had a bunch of guys getting overwhelmed, and of course that's when we get called in.
Where were we at? Iraq.
Iraq, yeah.
Okay.
And we came in, and we had to bank hard. We had to get in there tighter, and there were some guys up on the hill that we didn't know were there, and we took some fire and wiped out the whole hydraulic system on the left side. I mean, our aircraft flew like that all the way in.
Damn.
And so now think about the weapon system you just talked about. Talk about the ammo we carry, the weight. Yeah, there you go. And all of that shifted on that side, and some of us got pretty banged up.
Ooh.
Ripped my ear off. I mean, I got slammed. Ripped my ear off. Shattered my face. My left shoulder got jacked up. Ruined my back. It was a bad day. I don't know how we landed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did that guy?
The pilot.
Just legit, because with no hydraulics, I mean, he's got to be going.
So imagine coming in, right? He's working the right side as hard as he could. As we came in, I don't know how he thrust it up, but he did it enough just to get there. It was a bad day.
Yeah. Did you guys get any warning when that RPG was fired? I mean, it's so fast that there was
fast.
Yeah, you just see like a streak and that's it.
Close air support.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you got to come in those spots. We prefer up there.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to get in those valleys.
Damn, that's wild,
dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a bad day.
That's got to be a pretty lucky shot from a handheld RPG.
Yeah, that dude was rejoicing.
Yes, of course.
I hope he ate a 105 after that.
Yeah, I hope he did too.
They can't, because what they do is they just spray their guns,
Right.
their weapons. But those are pretty. They get lucky.
Oh God, it happens in police work all the time. You see cops. You read the circumstance and how cops get. And it's like, how do they get so lucky? It's like somebody firing a gun over their shoulder.
Yeah,
you know,
22 round goes
yeah.
through their side and hits it right in the heart.
Yeah,
Like I
it's
remember that.
God
It's like, come on.
dang it, come on. I hate that. Bad guys get lucky too.
What?
Man.
So, and were you in a Spectre during Desert Storm?
No, cargo.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering.
But those are just as deadly.
Yeah.
We had a few scenarios over there as well. So what they do is we would do aerial drops. You know what those are?
Yeah, like supplies.
Yeah.
Aircraft pallet. We would come in and we would release them low. Well, what happened is the enemy would come and they would steal the gear.
Right.
Right, and then that doesn't do our guys very well. So we would rig up bombs.
Get out.
You wanted to talk today.
I want it.
Hey, let's do it.
So we would get pissed off because you don't have water, you don't have ammo. Things can go south real quick.
Yeah.
Food, Eric. I mean, you got me.
Yeah.
Whatever, but you got to have water. You got to have ammo, or things can go south real quick. Well, we would drop them, and they would just get to them fast, and they would just destroy the pallets. And so we're like, so what can we do to deter that, or get them to at least question doing it again? So we rigged up a pallet.
Beautiful.
It was.
Come and get it, boys.
And yes, we hovered to watch.
Yes. Yeah. Go back by bingo.
It was the longest 7 minutes ever.
Yeah.
You're bringing out this side of me. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No,
but we just were like, hey, man, what can we do? So we got authorization. And so they questioned them from there on because they're loud. They'll talk. And they were like, hey, don't do that. No, don't go there. It could be a trap.
Yeah.
So we created that.
You're creating a deterrent. Like, stop stealing our shit.
It's good strategy.
Yeah.
It
And they
worked.
thought again before they did that. And yeah, I'm laughing, but I don't mean like I don't mean it that way. But like my heart is with our people,
100%.
and they do it to us in a second. So I have no bad feelings about that.
Yeah. When I first met you guys, I mean, it's like people don't realize it's our job, and we got to do what we got to do to bad guys to keep our good guys okay.
Right.
And that in a lot of times requires being crafty and creative, and you got, if you can make them go away, then what? People live.
Yeah, and it's almost
Our
like
guys live.
you don't get the benefit of total hindsight and then reapplying current societal standards to what happened then, if that makes sense. Like in the moment, if you look back, like totally objective, you're like, man, maybe some of that was messed up. But in the moment, that is the theater. That's the rules of engagement. It's like ripping on settlers for pushing west, right? Like you don't get to apply current, societal standards to those guys that were just surviving, because that's what that is. When you're over there, like you're surviving. It's different rules.
That tribal mentality. I mean, I'm thinking back to high school sports, playing soccer, where you're ready to fight the other team.
Oh yeah,
because they're not us.
right.
Right. It's like, and that's just a very small example. War is much different, obviously.
But you rely on that, and honestly, we thrive in
us.
that. Like I just read that book, Tribal.
I know.
Or
I literally said that just to drop
yeah.
a quarter in your little jukebox.
No, but that I think we're more comfortable in that, and that is the warrior mentality. You're part of your own tribe. That's your team. That's why young men in sports. Well, I mean young women too, but young men in sports, that is such a thing because you're going in the same direction. You have the same mission set, and I think that's the addictive part, even on your worst days. You're part of the same tribe, moving in the same direction, and you have your place, just like you described it before. Everybody on your ship, I'll say that because I'm a Navy guy, but everybody on that aircraft, right? Everybody on your aircraft has their job. And you love that about it. Like they need you, you need them, and everybody does that. And when it's all moving in the same direction, it's addictive.
It is.
When you think back to those times, like what's the thing you miss the most?
People.
The people around you. Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here today and say I'm some cool dude that did cool things, but man, I was able to work with a lot of them. And it made me who I am today, to see the the toughness and the integrity and the passion that people had for their job and for our country. It inspired me as a young man and made me grow up fast. You'll attest to that. I mean, you grew up quick. But yeah, the people.
Yeah.
They're all walks of life. We joke with each other. We branch banter bad, but I guarantee you, if you fucked with him, I'm gonna have his back. And I think that's what comes. There it is again. It's just, I don't know. It's the camaraderie. It's so deep. Like, we mess with each other. We fight. We argue. Blah, but at the end of the day, I mean, that saying, "I got your six." It's real. It's super real.
Have you found that in civilian life?
No, that's why I started this.
Yeah.
That's why I started this. And going back, and I just keep forgetting to bring it up, but you guys are talking about programming, right? We're programmed. Like, we go to boot, and I'm sure you went through the academy. It's the same thing. They break you down for a reason to rebuild you. And there's a lot of people that can't hack it. That's why they get booted out. But they program you. We go to war. We train. We prepare for what? For war, for combat. It's all mental. The problem is when we get out, that programming doesn't leave. It hasn't left you. I can tell you right now. The first time I met you, I can see it in your eyes. It doesn't leave you. And so that's the problem, is how do you disconnect from that? And I think that's why I started Brave Souls United, because you got to find a way to go, hey man, you come on down, like come off of that. You got to transition into life, because if you don't, man, it can haunt you. We talk about my journey. We talk about the things I did, and it's cool, and I still think it's cool, and but there's parts of it that will haunt you, right? I mean, we look at, you look at a set of NVGs. Have you ever wore NVGs? Like, you wear those, and you see the splatters, and at the time, because of the programming, like, fuck yeah. I mean, we just saved our guys, but at 5, 6, 8, 10 years later, it doesn't go away.
Right.
You still see the splatter. You still see the life that was taken. And so that's where my new passion is helping guys go, hey man, I get it. I've been there, but dude, you gotta transition back into normal life.
Or redirect that energy or that
right,
programming
or
towards
repurpose it, or yes,
towards something positive.
Yeah.
It's hard. I know it's hard, but it's hard because for me, as a cop, I struggled for a long time after getting out. Still, sometimes things pop up in my mind, but it's like, once you've seen what's possible, right? In my mind, I have a very creative mind, so my mind goes down these channels. But I've seen what's possible. I've seen dumb shit. People riding down the road with their feet on the dashboard, right? I've seen how that breaks your fucking femurs when you get in a head-on crash. So, like, my daughter puts her feet up on the dashboard. I'm like, don't do that. It's like these little things that you learn along the way. And it's like, part of me is like, damn, I wish I never knew. I wish I could bury my head in the sand and not worry about these things. But the reality of it is, I've seen it. And how do you deal with that in a daily life and not lose your fucking mind? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
It's tough. Conversations, even like this right today. You saw me when I came in. I'm fidgety. I don't know how. I mean, they're demons.
Yeah.
They're guys. They're demons, and they can either own you, or you have to learn to manage them, or push them off.
But would you trade it for anything?
Nope.
You wouldn't give it up.
No, I didn't even hesitate. Nope.
Same.
Nope.
It's like,
nope.
It's like taking
like, matter of fact, if they call me back, if they take my old ass, I'd probably go back.
Hey, I'm working on this. It's called Idaho State Guard. We're working on it.
Okay,
Yeah,
sign me up.
So when we get a C-130 Spectre, bro, you're in.
I can do other things, but I'm down. Just let me know if you need somebody. I'm in.
It just reminds me of, would you take the blue pill and just put the veil back over your eyes when you've kind of seen humanity at a different level? I mean, both jobs, whether it's military or law, well, especially in that capacity, because there are jobs in the military where it's like, look, dude, it's kind of admin, right? Like, there's different sides. They're really
damn paper cuts.
Yes,
Son of a
yes. But it's just different. But I don't know if I'd ever want to, recloak, what you've seen. And it's hard. That's the hard. Even though I know that did some, I don't want to use the word damage, but it certainly altered my perspective of humankind, because you've seen what they're capable of, right?
I'm thankful for it, right?
Right.
Like, we've all stood in our own ways, stood on the edge of order and chaos and stared into that abyss, and it changes you as a human being, but I wouldn't change it for the fucking world. I like
No, and again, you can't teach it, man. You have to
fucking
you have to feel it, though.
Bro,
It's real.
it's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
And that's where I think what you're doing now, where you can get guys together that have been through those troughs, and said, "Hey, man, I came out on the other side." There's no magic, and I think people are over medicated in a lot of circumstances. Like, there's not some magic pill, right? There's not some magic pill that's going to make all this go away. If there is, it's temporary. Like, you're just kind of pushing all that down and then not dealing with real thing. But I think the only way through it is to talk to other people that have been there and through it. No two people are the same. I'm convinced when it comes to like mental health, it's an art, not a science. Everybody's body metabolizes it, whatever, right? It changes it. But you have to talk to other people that have gone through some of those circumstances, around a bonfire, right? As a tribe, and say, hey, man, you just got to reintegrate. That tribe thing was very key because we hurt ourselves because we send guys to war and bring them back and then tell them that they're damaged now and that they don't have a purpose. And if that's where it gets bad, that's why the suicide rate's so high. Because in a tribe, if you were part of a Native American culture and you go to war, you come right back and you still need to hunt, you still need to do all of it. You have purpose.
Yeah.
So some of that's just reminding them they have purpose.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a cool program.
I love everything you just said, bro. That's who I am. I mean, there's a guy that shared a scripture with me years ago, Bible scripture, and I believe it was 2 Corinthians. It says that we go through things in life that as we receive comfort, we can extend that same comfort. And I don't know why I don't know why that changed something. Like, you read that powerful message earlier, or the inspirational quote or whatever you shared. Which, by the way, I love it. I want that. Send me that. But I love things that shift your mind, right? So I read that scripture 100,000 times because I have to remind myself that, hey, I have to be relatable. Like, this podcast is powerful because everybody's listening. They can relate, right? And healing, hey, you have to relate. Like, I'm not a drug addict. I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. Somebody came, hey, man, I'm spun out. I'm not your guy.
Right.
But if you've been in the sandbox or you've experienced XYZ during your military career, I got you. I can relate. And I think that's why marriages are getting destroyed. And that's why relationships with sons and daughters are getting destroyed, because that 9-month trip to the sandbox, that separation, power, it's big. It hurts. And if you can't sit down with somebody and say, hey, man, this is what I'm dealing with. This is my demons. You can't help them.
Right.
So everything you just said, bro, is so awesome, man, because that's what it's all about, man. It's saying, hey, I've been there, done that, understand, I get it. Same thing in law enforcement, man. It's powerful, and it's actually healed me. Like, I'm a better person today for listening and relating with other people going through the same things.
Right. But what's cool is you have a collective group, so you don't have to have all the answers. You sitting here don't have to have all the answers. Somebody within that group and within that network is going to go, yeah, man, I hear you, right? I was over there doing it just from a different side, right? Or maybe it is a law enforcement that dealt with George Floyd's riots and saw all that craziness. They can relate to that particular circumstance, and maybe that's where that healing journey begins. Or at least, hey, healing journey is such a weird thing to say, but truly,
hippie.
Yeah, no, but finding a way to, rationalize that in your own mind where it's not debilitating. Because talking to, and I talk about her all the time, one of our local ones here, she's a sergeant with PD, but where if you talk about something, like, you get goosebumps, right? If she talks about her shooting, her hands will start, so she'll start perspiring. I mean, she can't control it. That is a parasympathetic nervous system response. But eventually you get to a point where you recognize that impact, you accept it,
Come on,
and you can roll with it.
Come on.
As opposed to thinking it's weakness or whatever that is.
Come on, bro.
It's powerful stuff, man.
My hands have been sweating this entire podcast, for the record.
I know. Isn't that weird?
It's weird.
And it feels like you don't have control, but it's not a bad thing, man. It's just like understanding the physiology and your response to stress or long-term stress or whatever that is.
Right.
But it's a survival response.
Yeah, you recognize it and accept it.
Accept it and roll with it after that.
It's super powerful, man. Just being a set of ears, and brave souls that we just want to be a set of ears. We just want to know somebody's there. I'm sick and tired of watching people take their life because they had nobody to talk to.
Right.
And guys, and we're programmed, once again, start saying that a lot for whatever long this lasts, but we're programmed to suck it up, deal with it, stow it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Stow it.
Yeah.
Mission first, but there's got to come a time where you say, hey man, I just can't harbor this anymore. And what they I'm tired of watching guys just keep it stowed or keep it bottled up, and then they just take it to themselves, and I just don't want to do it anymore. I just want somebody to know, hey, you can reach out to somebody.
It frustrates me to see that. There's some veteran groups at Patriot Corps up here. Have you been to that yet?
I just got invited to it last week.
I don't go as much as I should right now, but there's a great group of guys there. But it's interesting because there's guys there from Vietnam that, they're obviously older. They've been through some shit. And even now talking about it, like they get choked up. It's affected them that long. And maybe it's because for a long time they didn't have, it's been very recently that people are okay talking about mental health. And
so glad that stigma's changed.
Yes, because forever, even when I first got into law enforcement, it was like, you don't talk about it. Nope. You just suck it up. Put it in a little box in your mind. Stow it.
Go drink. You had a
do
rough shift.
Choir practice after shift, right?
Absolutely.
So it frustrates me to see guys that dealt with this 50 years ago, and it's still so obvious on their face.
And they didn't have no resources back then.
Nothing. No.
My dad did several tours to Vietnam. They had nothing. Zero. Have a nice day.
Right.
Man, they weren't even welcomed home. They were shit on, spit on, looked down upon for doing what you and I chose to do.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's frustrating.
It's super sad, man. So I just, I don't know, man, just kind of morphed into this thing. I just want to be a set of ears, man.
So Brave Souls United, are you guys a nonprofit?
We are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the main mission set? What's your mission statement?
Healing through the outdoors, learning to overcome whatever's haunting you. It's super simple. You're not alone. That is our mission statement. You are not alone. And I think so many veterans think they're just alone, and once again, we're programmed to teach. Suck it up. Think about, do what you do, move through the day, move through the mission, whatever you got to do. You're not alone, man. And so many guys feel alone. Mm-hmm. And don't even get me started on the VA, because they push pills and medicines and stuff like that, and it's actually enhancing problems. It ain't making no difference.
Right.
I watch guys come in, they're all, hey, man, just bupropion, one of the number one killers from the VA. It's destroying people's mindsets. Mm-hmm. Veterans are just, they're getting worse.
What's that for?
It's supposed to be for anxiety and depression. Brother, it is evil.
We all know what the best medicine for anxiety and depression is. Outdoors, exercise, eat right, talk to people.
Yep, and that's
and
that's exactly what we do at Brave Souls United. We get them out there, we get them in the cabin, we light a fire, sit around. Not right now, this time of year. You know what I'm saying? Just basically, we just sit around. We mess with each other. It's funny. We start off typical branch bantering. Oh, Navy, whatever. Oh, Air Force, you guys suck, whatever. But at the end of the day, it just morphs into a relationship. And by the end of the 3 to 5 day retreat, they're like, "Hey, man, can I call you Eric if I have a bad day?" And you're like, "Yeah,
absolutely.
I hope you do."
Right.
Matter of fact, and it's just watching that exchange. Even Marines, it's so okay. Let's just get out there. They're tough. Okay, we get it.
Yeah.
You're the toughest. And they are. They're tough.
Yeah.
But even watch them go, "Hey, man, it's pretty cool. Thanks for having me out here. Can I call you if I need you?" And that's all we're after. And it may take a fishing boat. It may take a hike, or we throw axes, which I don't know if that's really a smart thing, but we have fun doing it. We throw axes, we shoot bows, we hike, we fish, we hunt, whatever the case is. And all it is just to get into a realm where people go, "Hey, man, you're all right, bro."
Where they're comfortable. Where you break through that initial little front.
Yep.
Right. And that could be sitting around a bonfire BS and whatever that is.
Yep.
What brought you to Idaho, North Idaho specifically?
You're asking the good ones. You writing those down? Where are you
No,
going with that one?
So
this is cool. This is really imperative to today and what's going on here. I, like most veterans, struggled. My first 7 years after I got out, it was horrible. I was drinking. It was bad. I was lost. And I used to not want to talk about it, but I'm proud to tell. I was lost. I had no way to decompress all my thoughts, my memories, my darkness. I just couldn't. So I drank every day. Just drank 6, 8, 10, 12 beers. Then it led on to other things. I would black out. I mean, it was bad. And I harbored it all by myself. And some guy, I'll never forget, his name was Todd Cody. He said, "Dude, you need to let's get out." There they are again, bro. Day of the goosebump, right?
Look at that.
So he says, he didn't know anything. I didn't share anything. He just said, "Why don't you let's go bow hunting?" I said, "I don't know how to bow hunt. I didn't raise around that. Just come with me." He knew. Yeah. He knew the power of the outdoors. He knew that there was something there that changed him. He knew that it would impact me. So I drove up here. It was a long drive. And it was from California. It was like 14 and a half hours. I'm, oh, God. And he's just talking. I'm like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything. I got up here. Day 2, we were hunting. Tired. We hiked like umpteen miles. I took my shoes off. It's crazy cool. What a weird question. That was awesome. Don't know where that came from, but I didn't share any of this with you. No, so it's kind of cool.
You did not.
Took my boots off, and my feet hit the flipping ground, man. And I don't know if you guys believe in grounding or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, took them off in Harrison, Idaho. And I took them off, and I was like, what the heck? What?
I'm home.
Is going on? Fell asleep. And I woke up, and I felt so different. And if you're listening to this and you don't understand this, I'm sorry. But, man, something shifted, and that was 2003. And I've been drawn here since then. So.
It's so cool. It's like the earth took something out. It's like, I'm just going to take a little bit of that away from you.
So my hope is to get guys out here and get them to feel the same thing in hopes that it will happen for them too. If nothing else, connect, make a friend, get somebody they can confide in, get them outdoors, get them on a boat. I mean, Mike's another great example of guys.
Yeah.
You know, when I met him, he was just this, I mean, I don't know. I know he's going to listen to this. He told me, I'm excited. Dude, Mike, I love you, bro. But, you know, he was just stowed up, man. He was just we get him on a boat, and he caught a 3.5-foot pike or something like that. And dude, he's just like, and that shifted him. Mm-hmm. And he's a different, better person, I believe, from that experience.
Because look, we're in real estate, right? Like that's our job. And when people come out to visit, I always say the same thing. You don't want to come out here and look at 20 houses. Come out, jump into the community, go to as many, and see if it reaches out and grabs you, right? It did for us.
Oh, yeah.
See if it does it for you. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, that's okay. There's a lot of other places.
Yeah.
There's no pushing towards that, but see if it reaches out and grabs you and hits you like that. Mm-hmm. Say if you're bored out here, that's a you problem. But if you're one of those that just wants to sit in a box and play video games, North Idaho might not be for you, right? You got to go out and immerse yourself in nature because that's what makes North Idaho cool. Rivers, lakes, mountains, all that stuff where you can get connected.
I've had the same experience, and I've had so many people tell me they show up here for a visit and it hits them. Like for me, I came September of 2019, came here on a whim, didn't know anybody up here, didn't know anything about Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Day 1, I walked out on the city beach next to the resort, and it was September, and it was still nice out. It was early in the morning, nobody's around, and like it's like the universe just reached down and tapped me right on the fucking forehead. You're moving here. 3 months later, I had sold my house, and I was living here. It's just like there was no doubt in my mind.
Yeah,
it just hits.
Yeah, I knew. It's a belonging. You feel like you belong here,
right?
And I do. And that was 3 years ago.
I've never had the connections to the community, the friends, the experiences that in all my years.
It's still like a tribal mentality, and I think it was Blaine Holt that said, God's building an army in North Idaho for what I don't know, but it does attract a certain mentality, or set of values for people to come out and they're like, oh yeah, I like it here. Where it's, take care of people that are capable, but they want their individual freedoms. They want the community to have their individual freedoms. Mm-hmm. It's a very welcoming place. You can literally wear whatever the hell you want, but not inclusive, but it's welcoming. But we want you to be a productive, contributing member to society.
I mean, Eric wears his white dudes for Kamala shirt all the time, and nobody gives him shit.
I said that to you in one podcast, dude, and here you are throwing it back in my face.
No, it's true, and I believe, and you guys need to know this. I actually listened to you guys' podcast a few years ago, and I got this information, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I got it from you guys. Like there was some data you guys threw out about this is the largest concentration of military and ex-law enforcement.
Yeah.
That came from you. I watched you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be amongst you guys. But I learned that there's something to be said about that. Because I believe we all feel we still want our freedoms. We still want to live the life that we grew up in our childhood. We still want to be in an environment where our faith is protected. Our freedoms are honored. I don't want them taken away. Why would I want to do that? So I think that's why the big influx is coming up here is because people say, hey, I still want that from my childhood.
Yes.
And they have it up there. We have something that people want.
And they want that for their kids.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of
it's
people.
It's lost.
Yeah. A lot of people look at that and they're like, nah, I want them to have a very similar upbringing to what we did as opposed to raised by a screen. You know, up here it's your kids are okay if they're out playing till the lights shut off in a neighborhood. That's okay. You know, this community's still very involved. You know, you can still neighbors still interact with one another. A lot of people moving from other states, they talk about how I don't even know my neighbors. I never see them. We never talk to each other. It's not that way here.
And a society that's predominantly warfighters and protectors and service-minded people, like that's the tribe I want to live in.
And it's a hard target. I mean, can you imagine? Legitimately, I was explaining to somebody from Washington State. I've went to 2 home invasions since I was a cop here for almost 12 years. Both of them were drug rips, you know, going after a rival. Those were the only 2 like occupied home invasions that I was familiar with when I was on patrol. You do that here, you're legitimately taking your life. I mean, people here, it's just the contingent of society that we have here. Idaho's not a victim mentality state. The people that are attracted to Idaho are not into perpetuating their own victimhood like you see in some other states. It's just not that way. And I think that's a big part of the attraction here.
100%.
It's reflected in our crime rates and our policies.
We fought for our freedoms. I want to still do that, and I think this is the right community to do that. One of the other pieces of data you guys shared on that podcast that I watched years ago was crime rate was less than 1%. Is that still accurate?
It is the safest state in the country.
Yeah, and when we shared that, we'd lost to we were 49th behind. Oh God, it was Delaware, right?
It was some weird one you wouldn't think of.
Yeah, it was New Hampshire.
That makes sense.
We were number 2 safe, and then we've taken it over since then. So
I thought that was fabricated. So I'm like, okay, like where did that come? I know.
FBI stats.
So I came up here, and since I've been here, do you know how many people I see that run in the gas station, leave their cars and stuff running?
Oh yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's also a message that data that you guys shared is accurate. Because bank robbers, I mean, you're a cop. When's the last time you had a bank robbery here?
Oh, I had one and I caught him.
How did that go out? How did that work out for the guys, since everybody here is a constitutional carry here?
Thing.
Oh,
yeah, that's my point.
You go to Costco and you look around and there's 20 soccer moms packing and you're like, well, shit'll be fine.
I love it.
It's going to be fine. Yeah, that stat about being the highest concentration of first responders and veterans in the world. I've said it so many times now that I've actually changed the algorithm online. So if you Google it, it just comes up now. So it's true.
It's cool.
And
so going back to my story in the 2003 and my journey and my military career and the Brave Souls United and that concentration that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
There's no surprise this is all happening here. There's a need.
Yeah.
So I just feel God brought me here, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to make a difference, hopefully, in many, many veterans' lives. Yeah.
So when you bought, because you've got an amazing piece of property with a lot of acreage over there near Harrison, was it your intention to start Brave Souls United when you bought it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brave Souls started 9 years ago with a friend of mine, Patrick. By the way, he's probably one of the toughest. Patrick Totsky, I'm going to tell him, I'm going to brag about him. You guys talk about my job? No. This guy was a door gunner on a Pavehawk for PJs. Like these guys.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
You want goosebumps? He's going to listen to this. I know. Patrick, this guy's a beast.
Tell him to come on. Tell me some stories.
He's a beast. So we're up there in the air watching these guys. They go into the shit.
Oh, yeah.
To get our guys out.
Right.
They're going in pairs, and we're up there giving them, close air support. These guys go into the battle while it's still going on.
And shooting out of the door of a...
Yeah, he's protecting the PJs on the ground to get our guys and gals out of those spots.
Was he in like Little Birds?
Nope, Pavehawk. Look it up.
Okay.
It's amazing bird. Yeah, this guy's as tough as they get. I don't even know where I was going with that. I just wanted to brag about him. But
where you started Brave Souls.
Oh yeah, so we were part of a couple, and I'm not going to share the organizations because they're very popular, and I don't want any negativity. But we were part of them, and we're going out hunting with these guys. I just wanted to be a part. I just wanted to play a role in somebody's mental health. Mm-hmm. So I go out to them, and we're in a goose blind, and these guys are smoking weed and stuff, and I'm like, how is this going to help?
Yeah.
It's like, So I left that day. I'm like, nope, I'm out. This ain't my jam. He was a part of a couple of them. One day we were sitting on an elk hill, and I'm like, dude, we got to do this, bro. So that started about 9 years ago. Actually, whatever. I don't even know exact year, but a few years ago, and it just kind of morphed into this thing. Man, dude, we've impacted 174 veterans.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah. I believe we've made a huge difference. Whether that's a large number or not, we're growing. We're going to continue to grow. But we started that. So we, with our wives, support Jackie and Jen. I'll throw them a shout. we collectively bought that property so we had a place to control the environment, which is so key in mental health. We control that environment, which we were talking about, sitting at campfires and walking on my property. Nobody's coming and shooting guns. We don't know what could trigger them, but that property you're talking about, we control that.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you guys to come out.
Yeah, we will come out.
I know. I'm gonna throw a little jab at
we will come out. I know.
Look. Okay, gotta come. But we control that environment, and that's the key of why we bought it.
Yeah.
What? How do people find you? You guys have a website?
Yep.
Okay.
Total legit 501(c), bravesoulsunited.com.
Okay.
Check us out. There's some great testimonies in there. It's just amazing. We want to grow, and we're all about suicide prevention. If all of today, the whole thing about this is all about suicide prevention. And whatever that person's struggling with at the time, if we can fix it, or we can lend a hand, or financially support somebody, or get them to climb off that ladder, we're going to do it.
How do you get funding for what you guys are doing?
Oh, thank you for going there. I have a hard time with that one.
I know.
I really appreciate you
sure
saying
you do.
that. We take donations.
Okay.
And we need them. I'm as humble as I can be. We need them. And where those funds go is they go to housing.
Mm-hmm.
We house them. They go to plane tickets to fly them here. That's the hardest thing. I mean, I don't know if you're service connected or not, but service connection is not a lot of money. So
Right.
we raise money to provide airfare, okay, and then we have housing, which you saw it.
Yep.
We had a tree fall.
Yeah.
And crushed one of the cabins.
Yeah,
It sucks.
One of two trees fell on the whatever. That's all right. God will provide, right? So we house them, and then we feed them, and then all the rest of it just happens. And I can sit here. We'd do another podcast if you want. There's some crazy cool stories about mental healing that have come from this property, and so we raise money. And the more cabins, the more bodies that we can get in there, and the more veterans we can get out there. And
can people go on your website and donate right on the website?
100%.
All right, people. You know what to do.
Well, that'll be a fun, because you should definitely come on podcast with John and Austin and talk about hunting too, because I know how passionate you are about that and get all fired up getting out there in the woods. That would be a fun one for this. But for this one, we wanted to introduce you to the program. And a big part of the reason I brought up, you buying that acreage in Harrison is a lot of times vets or public service come out here and they tell us, I want 20 acres and I don't want to see anybody. I want to be separate from everybody. I want my little spot out in the woods. Say, look, copy that. We can work with that. But man, maybe you should just get into the community a little bit, because depending on where you're moving from, you might run into some other like-minded people, and you may not want to be as far away as you think.
How many times have you seen that switch?
Oh my God!
Because every guy says the same thing,
Yes.
and then I'm like, same thing. I'm like, hold up, just wait.
Yep.
Trust me.
Yep. I know you think you want isolation, but you don't.
Yeah.
Right? You really don't. Just get around some other people, right?
the right people.
Yes. And just get an opportunity to talk about some stuff, because this community's different. This community will embrace you, and it can help heal some of you talk about that all the time. It helped heal you.
Oh, yeah.
I
100%.
mean, you're still all jacked
I
up.
know. I got my issues.
We
But
call those carpet sweepers.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with anything. They just sweep
Right.
it under the carpet, and eventually it gets so high they trip, and that's when the problems happen. So
Yeah.
we call them carpet sweepers.
I had a sergeant tell me one time, it's like every traumatic incident, it's like dropping a little marble in your brain. And then I made the connection. Oh, it's like when you lose your marbles. So
Yeah.
like, okay.
There
But
it is.
I've thought about that every time, and just you gotta make sure that doesn't overflow.
Yeah, it's a cool piece of property. It sits right in between Coeur d'Alene Lake on one side with 2.17 miles. On the other side is the Chain Lakes.
Yeah.
So we sit right between two of them, and the guy across the street, which you brought up earlier about somebody, your worst enemy in the beginning becomes your good friend. Well, we had a bad experience with the guy across the street, ended up being a Navy vet.
Yeah.
And he come over, and I was like, bro, like, I'm down. Like, if you want to roll, we'll roll, right? And ended up becoming real good friends. He donated, allows us to have access to 217 acres across the street, which has a shooting range.
Wow. That's cool.
Like, you guys got to come. It's like super cool. So it's just kind of like a God thing.
Yeah.
Of how much activities and possibilities are out there. It's amazing.
Yeah,
guys,
that's
come.
awesome.
It's so cool, bro.
We will.
We
It's
definitely
so cool.
will.
But yeah.
Well, Steve Morgan, thank you, sir.
Awesome, dude.
This was
Appreciate
a
your time. It was fun having
fantastic
you on.
conversation. See, it went by really fast. We're like
Yeah.
70 minutes into this thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. Over an hour goes by quick.
I appreciate you both.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you both for the very first time, and I felt instantly connected.
Same.
I love what you guys are doing. I love that you guys are focused on bringing the right people up here.
Mm-hmm.
So if not, raise the price on the homes and make them go south. Yeah. But you guys are
20%.
stand up dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thankful to be in your mix, if you want to call it that.
Same.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude, appreciate what you're doing, and I don't think there can be enough because it's not the same for everybody. Again, it's an art, not a science. You know, a lot of people, they go get that connection. That's a huge part of it, especially up here. Get grounded, get back to what's primal, get back to the tribes where you just get to be out there and leave your distractions. I told you, it's therapeutic for me running a chainsaw 'cause I can't hear my phone. I have air, you know, like whatever that thing is that helps you get grounded and connected. It's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
All right, Brave Souls United.
Steve.
Check them out. I'll put the link in the show notes so you guys can find it and donate. Thanks, sir.
Cheers,
Yeah,
bro.
Thank you.